Welcome to the Lead at Home podcast, where every episode is about learning how to develop our parenting skills to achieve the best for our children. Here are your hosts, Sarah Franco and Jala Gaines.
Hey, welcome back to our Lead at Home podcast. I'm Sarah. This is Jala here with me today.
Hi.
And we're looking forward. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Just talking about different ways that we can lead at home. And today our focus is going to be talking about leading with our words.
That is a whopper.
And this can go in a lot of different directions, as we're thinking about it. You may come up with some other things, other ways of applying it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we had kind of, as we were just kind of processing through that together, we were talking about, I think for me, I apply it a lot. A lot of the things that I think about and talk about are as a parent.
Yeah.
I think. And obviously this is with our spouse too, but I think that's the area that has challenged me the most in my life.
Sure.
And brought out these weaknesses in myself that I see and ways that I need to grow. And so I kind of automatically go there. But it can be, any relationship in your home and really any relationship in general. But we're specifically talking about the home. And but I think the principle of being quick to listen and slow to speak. That is really hard to take the time to stop and listen to what someone else is saying. And not be really quick to enter in my opinion, my thoughts about it. I don't know. Do you have any experiences or thoughts about that?
As you're sitting here talking, I'm just thinking, like, I feel like I always go to my spouse, but I have a young daughter, so I don't have much experience from a parent's perspective. But I know that with my spouse, it's just kind of, I remember back when we were like newly dating and like 17, 18, really immature. Super immature. I just remember him telling me a lot of the times that I would just like hurt him with my words. And I hated feeling like I was causing someone else pain just with what I was saying. Because in my head, I'm like, well, I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just saying how I feel. But I realized it wasn't what I was saying, but the way that I was saying it. It came across like kind of condescending and like demeaning. And so I really had to shift my mentality when it came to the way that I spoke. And not just with him, I started like seeing patterns in like even my friendships and stuff. Just navigating some conflict that I had within some of my friendships. And I'm just like, I don't think that I'm speaking in a life-giving way. I think I'm just saying what comes to mind, and that's what's happening here. And that was a big wake-up call for me, and I think through that I was able to like grow a lot in that area. I'm still working on it, but I definitely have grown a ton from where I was like 18, 19, because I had lots of issues with the words department. And
I think a lot of times we can kind of almost take on that mentality of, well, that's just how I am. And that's just what I do. That's just how I talk. But I do think it is important to take into account and, just be thoughtful of how is what I'm saying making other people feel, though. And if you're seeing that it is causing hurt, that maybe it's time to examine a little bit and make some adjustments like you did. Which isn't always easy. I'm sure that wasn't easy for you. And
it was not.
It's hard for us to take a look at ourselves and realize that what I did say did hurt somebody. But I would say that's just a great example.
And like, how about you? Like, how do you see words, or how did you see words playing a part in your parenting to your kids?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, I think naturally, I think there are people that are naturally more optimistic and some that are more pessimistic.
Yeah.
And so
sure.
I say that I am a realist.
That's
but that can kind of
so funny.
That can kind of take the road to pessimism.
Yeah.
And so I can be very critical in finding fault with my kids. And I was reading. I'm sure most people have heard these different statistics. I read two different things. One said for every for every negative word that someone would need 5 positive words to kind of balance that out. And another one said 7.
That's
so,
crazy.
If I'm criticizing, I'm being critical toward my child. And it might not even be yelling. It might just be pointing out little things,
nitpicking,
almost like pick. That's something that I really have to be a lot more careful of with my children, especially because there is this, this thought of like, well, I'm training my children, and I want them to be these great adults when they grow up, and so I feel like it's my responsibility, but there are ways that we can do that, and I think it's important to always be really looking for the good and making sure you're vocalizing that to your children as well. Not just pointing out flaws or mistakes.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm thinking about listening to you just now. It's kind of embarrassing. But when I was younger, around the time that, you're supposed to be going to driver's ed and learning how to drive, my dad would tell me I would be a terrible driver. He just beat that into my brain. You'll be a terrible driver. You're too this, you're too that, you're not careful, blah, 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 blah. And then I just started, I heard it so much, I slowly started to believe it. And I developed ridiculous amount of driving anxiety. And I just recently got over that and got my license at 24, and that's crazy. I know.
Congratulations, girl.
but it was so bad. I would hate having to explain it to people, but I just felt like a failure. And I was like people would ask me like, where is this coming from? Like, just go get your license, just go do it. And I'm like, I literally cannot. Like, I just have these thoughts in my head, and I realized, I'm like, this is because these words were like spoken over me, and they kind of just became a part of who I was. And I didn't realize how powerful, it's just crazy just to realize how powerful words are. Yeah. And the impact that they can have on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Coming from someone you respect too.
Yeah, because you think, well, they must be right. If they think that, that must be true.
Yep.
I remember mine was more words from teachers.
That's another one.
That still stay with me. And for whatever reason, I remember the negative far more. And there weren't that many negative. I was a good student. I was well behaved in school. So it was really just those few negative things spoken over me that really just stuck in me.
Yes.
And I think, as I was raising my kids too, I had to be really aware of TV. And now social media wasn't as big of a thing back then.
Sure.
There's that extra obstacle now. But with TV shows, I remember my girls watching, and I was kind of hesitant, but I was okay. I'll admit my kids tease me because for a while I did not let them watch even a cartoon because of how the brother and sister talked to each other, and they would say things like "you're stupid" or and so I just really had a problem with that. Yeah. And there was one show as my daughter was going into middle school. It's kind of like, okay, I want to try and help, give her a little more privilege, watch something that maybe I wouldn't have let her watch before. And, but I really did start to see, like, the particular character on the TV was a little sassier, and just at home. And And I started to see little hints of that in her. And I said, we're done. Fast. We are done with that show. So I think sometimes we even have to pay attention to like tone in ourselves, but also what they're hearing on TV, and pay attention to those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I'm just thinking about Luca. I'm like, I need to be
she doesn't talk yet. So no, but yeah. But even now, even as a baby, though,
it's important.
You know, those words are important.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I just we're not always going to get it right. You know, there were times, I messed up, but as a general practice and generally in the ways that you want your home to look, I just think it's really important to be mindful of to be the ones who lead with our words.
Yes, absolutely. It starts with us.
Yeah, it sure does.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If you're enjoying this podcast, you can go head over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can go check out some more of our episodes. And if you have any questions for Sarah or I, you can leave those and we'll try and get back to you.
Yeah, please do. We look forward to hearing from you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.